Am I in the wrong for telling my sister she lost me the second she even considered dating my ex who gave me an STD and didn't tell me? I, 28 female, was with a guy called Jason, 29 male, when we were 20 to 21 years old. We broke up when I was 22 after I'd found out that he not only cheated on me, but knew he contracted an STD from sleeping around and didn't tell me. He had known about it, and he was told that he needed to speak to any sexual partners because of the risk associated with this STD to fertility, and he said nothing. I remember when I told my family what had happened, and they were all there to support me, and my sister, 27 female, was one of them. I moved on and met my husband a year after breaking up with Jason, and thankfully I was able to get pregnant and we have a baby together. But I never forgot about the fact that Jason did what he did. Cheating was bad enough, but you can move on. The STD was where it became not only unforgivable, but I would have taken an issue with anyone in my family even becoming friends with him after that point. However, 3 months ago, my sister asked me if I would be okay with her dating Jason. She told me that she didn't want to lose me, but they had met again after several years, and she liked him and he changed. I walked away from my sister without saying a word, and she started dating Jason officially. Though when she came to me like she did and asked me like she did, I would guess it had been unofficial before that point and not just friendly. I have shut my sister out of my life, and she's not been allowed to come and meet my child. The rest of the family stands by me and what I decided, but they have not shut her out of their lives, which is totally fine and not an issue for me. But my sister doesn't like that, and she's tried to get in touch with me several times and has cried and asked me to hear her out and talk to her. The fact that I have run into her once since and I ignored her. She was talking to me, but I acted like she was a ghost and I couldn't see or hear her. So she ambushed me at my house the other day and told me that she doesn't want to lose me and she'll break up with Jason if I stop ignoring her and we can go back to being sisters. I told her that she lost me the second she even considered dating him. I told her I might not have known about it in that moment, but once I heard that she wanted to date him, knowing what he did to me, it was over. She's crying about it now and our family are refusing to hear her cries about it. My baby sister, 24, told me that she's trying to get the rest of the family to confront me about it, but that nobody will. She does think that our sister is genuinely hurt about this, but she feels like it's her own fault. And I agree. But I know what I said to her might still be overly harsh, because even thinking about it without acting on it would have led to this, which might be wrong of me. So I'm here to ask, am I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong for banning my wife's friend from my house after she pushed me for taking my drunk wife home? My wife is 27 and I'm 28. My wife has a friend, a bit of a close friend. In fact, she's been friends with her since the past 2 years. I don't like her at all, and a lot of people find her insufferable. This weekend, my wife told me that she's going to her friend's house and she'll spend her evening and night at her place with her 2 other friends. I asked her if they'll drink. She told me yes, but she won't go overboard this time, and she'll book a cab and come home before 10. I told my wife that she won't book a cab and I'll come pick her up and that she shouldn't drink a lot. She promised me that she won't, but I had this feeling that she might drink too much because my wife has tendencies of overdrinking, especially when she's excited and partying, so I went to pick her up an hour before. When I showed up at her friend's place, I saw all these drunk women dancing, drinking, and screaming like they ran out of a mental asylum, and my wife was laying on the couch clearly drunk. I grabbed my wife and told her that it's time to leave. Her friend stopped me and insisted that I let my wife stay for a bit longer, and even my wife said to wait for a bit. I told them that they've been having fun and drinking for so many hours and it's more than enough for today. When I tried to leave with my wife, her friend tried to stop me a bit forcefully, and when I didn't listen to her, she pushed me and called me controlling and cursed me out in front of everyone. I told her that the only reason I'm not retaliating is because she's a woman and I'm in her house, but from this moment on, she's not allowed in my house, and if she comes over to my house ever again, I'll call the police. I left with my wife, and after we got home, I fed her, which she puked at midnight and went to sleep with me, and didn't let me sleep either, and kept saying, my husband, and hugged me and kept complimenting me. I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it. But anyway, now her friends, all of them, are telling me that I'm being a controlling husband and I have no right to tell my wife what she can and can't do. And I don't have the right to ban her friend from her house. So am I in the wrong? Sure, I'm a bit angry, but my anger is not without reason. And if I appear to be a controlling husband, I think my wife's situation warrants it. And I'm doing what I think is best for my wife.
I broke up with my boyfriend because I thought he was cheating on me, but years later, I'd found out the truth. Story time. So me and my now ex-boyfriend, who we'll call Steve, had been together for about 2 years. It all started when we decided to plan a little trip together. I'd been saying for years I really wanted to go to Switzerland, so that is what we settled on. Let me tell you, as soon as that plane trip was booked, Steve started acting different. He would be home less and less, hiding his phone from me. He hardly talked about his day anymore. One of the biggest red flags was when he started to get late night calls and he would jump out of bed, like wouldn't let me see who was on the other end of the phone, wouldn't take the call in the room with me. I was getting so suspicious. So one day his best friend Alan comes round to our house. I explained everything to Alan. And even Alan started to act weird, and he'd never ever been like that with me before. The more I was telling Alan, the redder his face was getting. And that was when I just accepted that Steve was definitely cheating on me and that Alan knew all about it and was trying to hide it. I was not about to let anyone disrespect me like that, so I walked back into our house and I started to pack my bags. It was then that Steve realised that something was up and he kept trying to stop me from packing. But I was just so angry I couldn't even look at him. Shortly after that, my brother came to pick me up. I ended up staying with my brother for a few days and I ended up blocking Steve and his whole family on literally everything. A week later, my brother came home with a letter from Steve and I just tore it up straight away. I was like, no, not reading it. Eventually, I went and moved my stuff out of mine and Steve's house. And when I went in, there was another letter on my desk. Again, just ripped it up, didn't even read it. Let's fast forward 3 years to the present day. I am in a cafe and I see Alan. I hadn't seen Alan since that night, so I went over to say hi. But this man was not happy to see me. He told me that I must be the most awful woman on the planet. And I was like, oh, that feels a bit personal, Alan. Why? And that was when he told me that Steve had been planning to propose to me in Switzerland. I was so shocked that I dropped my cup of coffee onto the floor. The late night calls were from like an event planner in Switzerland. I just stared at Alan in absolute disarray. Alan gave me the dirtiest look and then walked away. And now I feel so nasty and so stupid. I could have literally had it all if I'd have just asked what was going on. And now I'm thinking, should I try and contact Steve? Let me know what you think.
My freshly ex-boyfriend keeps blowing up my phone after his hurtful April Fool's prank in our breakup. How can I cut him off without cutting my entire friend group off? So, I, 24 female, and my boyfriend, 27 male, have been together for just over a year now. He has never been the pranking type, and we have explicitly discussed that I do not enjoy pranks or surprises. Occasionally, he will do a little jump out from around the corner to spook me, and I usually playfully slap his arm and he laughs about it, and that's that. This completely came out of left field. He told me he had something serious to discuss with me, so we sat down. He genuinely looked like he was on the verge of tears. This man rarely cries, so already I was holding and kissing his hand, telling him it was okay. He shakily let out that he cheated on me with his best friend's girlfriend and that she's pregnant. My heart stopped. Like, I think I genuinely had a panic attack, tearing up and trying not to puke. He just sat there watching me, looking all emotional and apologizing over and over again. I had been cheated on before, which he was very aware of because we've had extensive conversations about some of my trust issues that we have been working through together. This played on all my worst fears. Once I could speak, I told him to leave and he did. Once I calmed down a bit, I called his best friend and asked if he knew about the affair and the baby. I figured he did. I just wanted to make sure that he wasn't still in the dark because he deserved to know. He replied with, "Oh fuck, he didn't actually do this to you, did he?" I told him not to, that this was a bad idea. I thought he was talking about the fact that my boyfriend knocked up his girlfriend and said, "You knew in advance they were having sex and told him not to do it because it would hurt me?" He broke the news that this whole thing was a prank. There was no affair and there was no baby. I felt numb at this point. I just laid there and contemplated our relationship. I couldn't believe that he would think to hurt me as an attempt of a joke. I still can't. I didn't contact him at all, and he didn't contact me. I was waiting for him to show up and tell me it was a prank, but he never did, until about 6 p.m. He called me and told me to visit my backyard. He had set up a table and made it pretty, which really isn't his forte, had takeout Italian food waiting for me, and a sign that said, "April Fools," in the back. For a second, I was relieved that he did something so sweet and found myself clinging to it, but I still felt hurt. He grinned and walked up to me, kissing me and saying he couldn't believe that I fell for it, and that he thought I would know that it was a prank. I cut to the chase and broke up with him. The whole day was just an emotional whiplash and I felt toyed with. I said that I didn't know if I could be in a relationship with someone who could lie to my face like that and think it was funny. He said it was funny and that he was sorry if I didn't get it. I have been just so overwhelmed and emotional over this, and I just want to know if I'm overreacting or not. Now he's left a total of 37 voicemails and probably hundreds of messages, and the number is only increasing. I need him to stop. He won't listen to me when I say I need space from him. I really don't want to block him or make this messier than it needs to be because we share a friend group. I don't want to be the reason that people pick sides and things fall apart. My wife cheated on me and broke the news on our vacation. I'm 3.5 weeks past finding out that my wife cheated. I, 28 male, was working abroad for 7 months while my wife, 27 female, stayed back at her apartment. She works full-time and goes to grad school at night. I got 3 weeks off and planned a European vacation for us. My wife would meet me during her spring break and then I would go back to work and she would return home. On the first day when I picked her up from the airport, with a rose in hand, she seemed a little distant and I attributed that to jet lag. Throughout the day, things seemed mostly normal. At lunch, she ordered fish. She's a strict vegetarian, and that really threw me off, but I figured that she wanted to enjoy the coastal cuisine. Later in the day, I made a comment about having kids, and she said something to the effect of, "We have some problems to sort out before we have kids." I was pretty shocked by this statement, because we had been talking about having kids as soon as I got back from my 1-year work assignment abroad. We had been having these discussions within the last several weeks. I kind of attributed the comment to jet lag, and we went to the hotel to take a nap. After the nap, I brought up the comment about the kids. This led to a long discussion about how she finds some of my behaviors emotionally abusive. This is a conversation we have had before and even enrolled in DIY common therapy. In the past, I have reacted negatively to the term emotional abuse because even by her own admission, my behaviors are not intended to cause her any harm. It's more of a communication style issue. She went into the details of what she considers emotionally abusive, which are 1. Excessive concern for her in social situations where I'm not at. She got blackout drunk at a coworker party once and I've been worried about her since then, but I wouldn't be overbearing. 2. Talking down and being short with her. 3. Judging her. I really don't, she just thinks I do. 4. Concerned about how she spends her money. She's concealed thousands of purchases from me and our finances are completely combined. In therapy now and talking to friends, the emotional abuse accusation seems to be more of a distraction, but I really brought it to hook, line, and sinker at this point. I listened to all of what she had to say and I validated her feelings because I could see that she was upset, and I said, "Even if I didn't intend to hurt you, I never want you to feel that way." I said that I would come home and cancel the trip to work on our marriage and evaluate if I should cancel the rest of my assignment overseas. At this point, she began breaking down, and then the words that are still haunting me came out of her mouth. I cheated on you. I literally could not believe it. I have been with her for 8 years. I trusted her with my life, and this is completely out of character. I pressed for details, and she said she got drunk at a grad school happy hour and met a guy named John and went to his apartment and had sex with him. She gave me a lot of I don't knows and couldn't give me a date. She assured me multiple times that it was a one-time thing, she doesn't know the guy, and never talked to him again. I believe her. I threw up, I cried, I had what felt like was a panic attack. My life was completely flipped upside down. I eventually calmed down, and my wife and I talked, and I forgave her and expressed a desire to move forward. We decided we would finish the week in Europe, and I would return to the States with her and cancel my work assignment abroad to work on the marriage. The week in Europe was great. We had so many deep conversations about life and our future and our past. Our intimate life was amazing, and we did it 3 times a day. Google hysterical bonding. We took selfies kissing, we talked about having kids, we made future plans. Once we got back home, it's like a switch flipped. We had marriage counseling scheduled for 2 days after I got back. The day before counseling, my wife broke down to me and told me that she was 100% done with the relationship and said that she was too far gone. I reassured her it's okay to have these feelings and let's go to a counselor. At the counselor, they told my wife it appears that she's in flight mode and told her to give it 2 weeks before deciding if she wants to leave. She agreed, and we both agreed to give each other space while we both went to individual therapy. That lasted less than 24 hours. The next day, she was even more distant. She was guarding her phone very strangely and texting constantly. I assumed that she was planning her exit from the apartment with family. I found a journal entry which she left out in the open with plans to get a lawyer and get an apartment. At that point, I realized it was done. I called my parents and they were insistent that there must be more to the story, like another guy in the picture. I was adamant that that was not the case. There was no way that my wife could lie to me like that, especially during such emotional, deep conversations. She leaves the apartment that night. On the way out, she cries and tells me that she never wanted to hurt me. I'm confused and sad. She goes to a female coworker's house out of town for the weekend. She breaks the news to our mutual friends who are all just as confused as me. By Saturday, I'm starting to process the situation, but I remember my parents concerned about another guy in the picture. Out of due diligence, I checked the phone records. Over 2,000 messages in less than a week and 65-minute phone call with a male coworker. All at night, I start to panic. I eventually am able to see her location history. She goes to his apartment multiple times overnight a week before the vacation. I find social media messages between them. She's messaging him about how much she enjoyed sleeping with him while she's sitting next to me on the couch, the day she was guarding her phone. My heart drops. I feel sick. I feel like such an idiot for being manipulated by her. I feel like I don't even know who this person is. I confront her and all she can manage is, I didn't want to hurt you. She still hasn't given me an answer as to what happened. She told no one, not her friends or her parents, and she made it seem completely normal to me while she was sleeping with this other guy. She then signs a lease in his apartment building a city over and moves out a week later after I find out. Moving her stuff out, she's cold and nothing like the person that I know. I'm struggling right now with a lack of closure. When did she check out of the marriage? Were there other affairs? Why not just leave if you're unhappy? I'm in therapy, on medication, and trying to work on myself, but it's hard. I have no appetite, can't sleep, and have constant thoughts about her affair and my wife. And the sad thing is, all I want is the person I loved, my wife, back. The loneliness is hitting hard right now. I don't know what to do.